Hello, everybody, and welcome to WarCrafters for January 5th, 2025. This is now Season 2, Episode 1 of WarCrafters. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, here's some really... All right. I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmTown and ohmTown.com. And I created it so that I could manage my information overload, and it's only gotten more impending in 2025. The onslaught of information is never ending, and while I try and take a break, ohmTown.com does not. It still gathers all of the information and throws it into currently, well, I'm just going to round up 50 buckets in 6 main categories, and then I filter through it. And along with the sentient AI from the future that I found on a weird USB drive and a little scoop in the parking lot of a Wendy's at 2 a.m. because I wanted some spicy boneless wings that they don't have anymore, apparently. Anyway, they were closed, and I ended up with the sentient AI co-host. That won't give me any winning lottery numbers, even though they're from the future. Anyway. So we talk about the news, and we have 6 weekly shows, 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and a daily show called Non Sequitur News, which is kind of a mishmash of news sampled from across ohmTown.com, whereas these shows on the weekend are more focused, more tightly knitted together in terms of concepts. Anyway, we gather those 3 shows on Saturday and 3 shows on Sunday, and that becomes the weekend edition, or editions, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, of Non Sequitur News. But the daily show is Monday through Friday at 7 p.m.-ish. But the way you find out is by following us here on Twitch and here on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and ring the bell and pat me on the head, tell me you love me. Anyway, we're going to talk about these 5 articles. Quirky space sim, roguelike, mysterious player count spike, gaming predictions, New Year gaming, cozy games, but no farming. None of that bullshit. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. I'm trying to be family friendly in 2025. I already blew it out the door for the previous 4 days. But anyway, let's get into it. You might be hearing some really amazing ambient music underneath us. It is by Fat Frog Studio called Shadow Strike. And then there's a name. I don't know, Shadow something or other. Anyway. Ooh. It's pretty cool. All right. Well, anyway. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, ohmTown citizens, and welcome to the first episode of WarCrafters in 2025.
Woo! This shirt is coming off. Just kidding. It's way too
so much for family friendly.
Oh, right. Damn it. All right. Well, anyway, let's get into it then. Sorry, error messages everywhere.
That was
from
like the first thing you said after that.
I'm not very good at this. I am a horrible, horrible host. All right. The first article is over in the WarCrafters channel. Here's a quirky little space sim crossed with traditional roguelike. I'm always on the lookout for an odd little roguelike. Not me. The sentient AI are just consuming the news that we aggregate into ohmTown. So this is from a source, and that source happens to be PC Gamer. We'll find out who specifically wrote this on the other side. But you can actually follow the links by typing in exclamation point or bang WC. And that will tell Ohmtron to spit out all of the articles, the links to which lead to ohmTown.com. And then from there, you can actually click on Visit the Source. Kind of cool how this works. Anyway, I've already gathered it all up, so there you go. Approaching Infinity is a weird little... has the weird little goods that make a roguelike interesting, says Jonathan Bolding. I've never played this, Approaching Infinity, but there's a trailer here and it says that the easiest way to describe it is a space exploration roguelike where the star sectors you navigate your ship or with your ship are the regions you explore with your ship, and the wrecks and planets you land on with your away team are sub-levels, mini dungeons you find in the larger environment. So add a silly sense of humor on top of that and a healthy dose of sci-fi stereotype weirdos to meet and or pirate, and you've got a nice little setup for a classic roguelike. Though, as is often the case these days, you can turn off the permadeath if that's not your bag, because in a roguelike, you die and lose everything.
Right? I mean, this sounds like that might be up your alley, though, because of that.
It might be up somebody else's alley. I do not like dying and live, die, repeat.
Right, but it sounds like that's a feature you can turn off.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so that's kind of my jam. So it's roguelite. So it says, but there are enough Captain Archetypes, starting spaceships, and equipment loadouts to claim for your journey that the author again expects that you'll find each time you die. The half dozen things you try out in the demo are pretty exciting. In a pair of runs, the author was a military corsair who fought other ships for loot. In another, they were a planet-focused explorer and selling their valuable data for profit. This actually is kind of piquing my curiosity. I'm going to mute it. It looks turn-based, which is not really my bag.
But I like the artwork style. It does look turn-based from how it's being displayed.
Yeah, it's definitely turn-based. But it's pretty cool. Each landing instance is exactly how the author described it. It's basically a dungeon, and you move from dungeon to dungeon and gather loot and then come back up. I'm not sure what the overall objective is because they don't really say what it is. They just say that it's kind of like a dungeon crawler, and you're exploring a bunch of stuff. But I'll give it a try. We'll see. I really don't like permadeath because I don't like working for hours and hours and hours and then dying. And somebody's going to scream, get good, but
who wants to spend their time dying?
I know.
And losing all their stuff.
I hate it. Ugh, God. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in the WarCrafters channel. Valve's Artifact, which is a game that is on the down low, but it's so public, it's on the up high. Valve's Artifact game gets mysterious player count spike. For some mysterious reason, Valve's Artifact card battler game had a sudden player count spike going up to nearly 12,000 players before disappearing in a day. Artifact is a game that is first released in 2018 and is a card game that's set in the Dota 2 universe. This game specifically is known for having an incredibly mixed reception upon its reveal, but many believing Valve was chasing the trend set by Blizzard's Hearthstone. The disappointment and mild enthusiasm in the game turned into hostility when Artifact's pricing and monetization models were revealed as well. This I thought was the new game that they're talking about, but when I read that, I was like, wait, it must not be.
But that's even odder, right? If it's an older game and then it's suddenly spiking.
Yeah, unless they're testing stuff and they didn't turn off the public disclosure. Truman 2 put this article together. That's the first name. I don't think I've seen that name from GameRant, but GameRant.com is the source of this. Artifact mysteriously gained 12,000 players, a significant jump from its usual count. The surge in players started on December 31st, raising suspicions about potential bot activity or piracy. The player base remains confused by the sudden spike, as this isn't the first time Artifact has seen unexplained surges. Interesting.
I mean, could it be as simple as some mega gamer mentioned it and everybody went over there?
It's a possibility. You would think that they would know about it. I haven't heard anything, but, obviously I got this all wrong anyway. Valve announced a retooling for the game in the form of Artifact 2.0, but those plans fell through. As such, Artifact 2.0's cancellation resulted in it going completely free to play, with the old version of the game becoming Artifact Classic and the retooled game being Artifact Foundry, with no further plans for development. And in the case of this kind of stuff, stop killing games doesn't really apply because people think it sucks.
Right, so they may not be as upset if it goes away or doesn't get updated.
Yeah, it's great that it's left alive. And so not only is it a game that wasn't killed, but it's a sucky game that wasn't killed. Why not keep the games
we can't kill the games that
are fun but not making gross amounts of money.
I think I said that backwards.
It's okay. No, I got it. You said it right, the irony there. So the sudden player spike seems to have started on the 31st, going from 400 to suddenly 4,000 within an hour. And while the number doesn't quite reach the game's concurrent player peak of 60,000 when it initially launched, it's a strange phenomenon. Kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. And I'm surprised nobody has been able to pinpoint what occurred.
That's weird, though. It says the sudden player spike seems to have started December 31st, but here it says January at 7 o'clock, it was at 12,521. But it says...
Yeah,
suddenly...
it started on December 31st and continued into January 1st.
It says, though, that it just jumped to 4,000 players within an hour. So... That kind of belies the fact that it actually spiked to 12,521 in
right,
big.
That's the bigger jump, right?
Yeah. It went from roughly 4,000 all the way up to 12,000 the next day, almost the same time frame. This is almost too clinical to be. It's like they're testing server load,
right, or doing something.
Well, they don't talk much more about what might be going on, but
do you think this will increase players going back to this game?
Well, I'm curious, so I'll probably load it up and see what it's all about. But if they were what do you call it, kind of preying on people and exploiting the monetization model to a point where people just didn't like it, I don't think this game... And if it's...
Right, they're not going to suddenly like it just because they think more people are playing it.
Yeah, and if it's free to play and it's not evolving, then people are going to go, meh. But there's some games, like, people play chess. Nothing has changed in chess except the timing involved, right? So, like, you have speed chess and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or a
Blitz.
Specific challenge or something, yeah.
Yeah. So once a game has its dynamics really well developed, then it turns into Go. It turns into chess. It turns into a phenomenon. And like the game that I created, I hope in 2025 that we launch it, and we'll announce it here in all of the ohmTown channels. Anyway, it'll be a Kickstarter probably. Yeah. All right, let's get going. The next article is over on the WarCrafters channel, 8 bold gaming predictions for 2025. The author, it's from PC Gamer, but the author says that on one hand, it feels like gaming is speeding up.
No. One hand.
Not
one
two
hand. Hands.
Okay, hold on. One hand. It feels like gaming is speeding up. New genres can go out of fashion before you've even clocked them. And there's always some new fad or trend shaking things up, for better or worse. But let's take a look at these bold predictions by Tyler Wilde and contributions from the rest of the PC Gamer family. Let's see here. Epic Games Launcher gets a huge overhaul and actually becomes a usable contender to Steam. I highly doubt that. I think Epic Games Launcher is too insular whereas Steam is available to everybody, and you just have to pay that little fee. I think that Epic Games only allows Epic properties.
Oh, I see. Right.
If
So
I'm,
it's not really apples and oranges.
yeah, I mean, if unless something has changed. Okay, hold on. So the big budget Phasmophobia or Lethal Company will finally appear, which I don't know. Well, that's not true. It's a distinct possibility, but I think that the community will rally against it unless it is absolutely amazing in its content, because Phasmophobia is a phenomena, like I said, about, other another game, Lethal Company. It is, everybody loves it. It's one of those things. It's kind of like Helldivers 2. Nobody plays Helldivers, but it pivoted so far away from Helldivers to Helldivers 2 that it's like night and day, and everybody
Right. It had a
loves.
huge following. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe they'll come up with something that is just freaking amazing, but I think that independent developers do a bang up job of building something that they want, and therefore they know that there's a community around it. Whereas big companies, I think that they've basically kind of shot the bed. See, I can't say that. They shit the bed. Wet the bed. They've wet the bed too many times. And while, selling 1 million copies at $20 a pop is amazing for the developer of Phasmophobia and Lethal Company, these big AAA developers go, that's not enough, because they have investors on top of the fact
Well,
that they
they
have
have
overhead.
so many teams that have supported the game.
Yeah. So they say blockbuster games take 5 to 8 years and often hundreds of millions of dollars to make. In nautical terms, the biggest publishers, nautical terms, Ubisoft or Ubisoft, however you want to pronounce it, EA, Xbox, Take-Two, are giant freighters that are slow to change their steer in the face of ever-shifting video game trends. And it's gravitational. Massive oil tankers actually have to pivot based on the curvature of the Earth. There's too much momentum in a direction, and it's always entirely bound by the profit motive, not necessarily the technology and innovation of the game or it's an attempt to appeal and create a new market, but it's money. They want 5 times what the investment is. So they say 5 years post Phasmophobia, which is still quite good, should have been a long enough time for one of the giants to seize on this still developing genre that combines co-op, proximity chat, sandbox horror. The success of Lethal Company and Content Warning would have been too big to ignore, but even bigger than that is the fact that everyone is playing games through the filter of their Discord friends and looking for experiences that are compatible with hanging out in a voice call. Midnight Murder Club. I think that's over on Epic, isn't it?
So that's interesting.
Too,
so this is making the point that this is like changing the nature of gaming, and so the large companies should be getting in on this.
The problem that I have with big gaming is that they do live service. These games aren't live service. They're live service because somebody is hosting it. There isn't a remote server that you have to connect to. There's somebody that's hosting the game. All of the big developers, they spin up a server farm and go, you all have to connect to our bullshit, and then not so family friendly. Anyway, Civ 7 is one that breaks the Civ cycle. I don't know. I haven't played it yet, but the Civilization games are pretty much always good. Heck, they're pretty much always great. Civ 4 set an incredibly high bar back in 2005. Then raised it further with several major expansions. I haven't played Civilization for so long. So they're saying that Civ 7 is gonna break the Civ cycle. From what I've seen from it, it looks amazing, but I don't know.
I guess we'll see. I mean, it certainly looks like it's being looked forward to.
Yeah. I thought that there was a demo or something. Hold on a second. Let me... Right. Do. 1 second. We're doing it live. So it's supposed to come out in February 11th, 2025. I've seen trailers and stuff, but yeah, it must be Civ 6 that has it. So we'll see. The technology and the resolution is going to be stupendous. So I think that's pretty much the win here. And anybody who's been passionate about Civilization previous iterations, they're going to love this too. So, but it's $70.
Ouch.
Yeah. If you want the deluxe edition, which I haven't looked at, how much do you think? Oh, there's two, Founders Edition and Deluxe Edition. And just so you know, I've said them backwards. How much do you think a pre-purchase of Civ 7 Deluxe Edition costs? This is the cheaper of the two.
$65.
Okay, wait. Civilization 7 all by itself is $70.
Right, but you said there were two versions, but I guess there's three versions.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. $130.
Hey, you jumped all the way up to the Founders Edition. $130 for the Founders Edition, $100 for the Deluxe Edition, and $70 for Civilization. Hi, Bipolar Cath. How are you? Good to see ya. I am astonished that anybody would want to buy a game for $70, but that is the new normal, by the way. It's been like that for a couple of years now.
But then that means like you better really like that game and not be planning to play a lot of other games.
Yeah, and the only saving grace is that you have a refund period. So, but you better figure out if you love it or not real damn quick. All right, let's keep going. The next article, there's more over there, predictions, but we try and stick to a 30-minute window for our weekend edition shows. But anyway, so you can follow the link. If you're not familiar with it, you can type in the chat on Twitch, but not on YouTube. All of the links are embedded in the show notes for all three shows right now over on YouTube. But to get the links from Twitch and the Omatron bot that runs Twitch, you can type in !WC and it'll tell the bot to throw today's articles into the chat. So 13 exciting games kicking off the new year in January, and this is from Kotaku. Another year in the books, and that means that a backlog of season is officially upon us. So you're going to have to keep on playing these new games that are coming out and try and play catch up. If you're in the industry. If you're not, then you got plenty of time. You can go back. Just let other people play the game for a little while and read reviews and stuff like that. So they say we used to get several months for catching up on old stuff as the new year got off to a slow start, but now the season barely lasts a couple of weeks. So bam, you have to jump right back into it. So Ethan Gatch, I think is their name, how they pronounce their last name. I'm not sure. 2025 begins with some of the biggest PS5 exclusives arriving on PC. So there is a slideshow over here at Kotaku, but I'm just going to list the slides. And so these 13 exciting games at the end, number 14, because there's a cover slide. Citizen Sleeper 2, Star Wars Vector, Spider-Man 2, January 30th. The other one is 31st. Sniper Elite Resistance, January 30th. Phantom Brave, The Lost Hero on January 30th. Eternal Strands, January 28th. Star Wars Episode 1, Jedi Power Battles on January 23rd. Final Fantasy 7 Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth on January 23rd. Ender Magnolia, Bloom in the Mist, January 22. And Tales of Graces, what is that? It must be remastered, and they've got something else
I
going
think
on there.
there's some error there.
Dynasty Warriors Origins, January 17th. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, January 16th. Freedom Wars Remastered, January 10th. Wuthering Waves, January 2nd. So Wuthering Waves has been around for a while. Some of these have been around for a while. I'm curious what the actual title of that is. Tales of Graces. That's it. It just
Okay,
says
yeah,
F
but they're coming
remaster.
over from PlayStation over to PC.
Tales of Graces. Oh, that's the what is that? The musical notation sign. That little F thingy. I don't remember what it's called.
Forte, maybe?
I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, they overhaul the game further and bring it all to modern console and PC. The author says that they haven't played it yet, but it has a reputation as one of the better Tales games with top-notch combat to make up for its cliched story. Ouch. That was like the pat on the back and then a punch right to the throat there.
But it does come in a bundle on Humble Bundle, which we're not
Humble Bundle.
affiliated with.
Oh, right. Yeah. We're not affiliated with anybody that we talk about, really. And based on the way that I talk about some of the some of the stuff, I might be making an active enemy of people. All right. Anyway, pretty cool. You can go and check out the rest of the articles more in depth by going over and following the link. And again, the way that it works is if you follow the link in the show notes, it'll take you over to ohmtown.com and the little snippet that we aggregate. It's provided by the source, and then you can actually click visit the source if this piques your curiosity. Alternatively, you can actually post comments. You can actually use Giphy to post like animated GIFs into the chat itself. There's also Discord, Patreon, the podcasts, YouTube, etc. So we're all over the place. Go check it out. All right, our last article for WarCrafters is the best cozy games that are not farming sims. I'm really interested in farming sims and cozy games in general. I kind of want to, like, just when I start streaming the games themselves, hopefully this year, I try and carve out a lot of time. For the last 3 years, I've been trying to carve out time. And my only time that I can actually carve out is the summer of stream, which is when I play games and do reviews and stuff like that. But even then, I'm getting pulled away by mayoral duties. So hopefully 2025 will change that dynamic and I'll be able to play some games. But I'm really interested in cozy games and VR games. I actually have a VR bow coming. So the screen...
For archery? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, archery. Yeah. And I just found out recently that it's called V-Rider. It's a VR motorcycle racing game. Got ported over to the Pico VR headset. And so I'm going to get that here this week. And I'm probably going to stream it next weekend. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And I've been pretty excited to wait for. I've been waiting, like, please port it over, because it was meta only. It was meta only. And
right now it's PC.
No.
Pico. Oh, now it's
Pico.
It's Pico. Yeah, exactly.
So I got to figure out a way that I can stream it off of the Pico through to the the stream. I'm an idiot. Anyway, best cozy games that are not farming sims. I don't know really why I'm doing this article other than to promote games that are out there, because I really like farming sims, damn it. And so...
Right, the headline kind of makes me go, oh.
Yeah, but I want more farming sims. So Rowan Jones and Mark Samet put this article together. It says, cozy games should be non-stressful, give comforting vibes, and have a calming aesthetic. And popular cozy games are not just farming sims. Other overlooked cozy games offer mystery and sweet stories. Dark and delighted games like Strange Horticulture and Spirity provide relaxing, engaging fun without combat. Strange Horticulture is actually a lot of fun. Let's see what they are.
But that sounds like a farming sim.
It is not. It's you'll have to see it. So we'll get down there. So Dungeons of Hinterberg, you're actually this person right here, and you leave on vacation and end up doing dungeon dives for your vacation in Hinterberg. So Dungeons of Hinterberg is a hack and slash RPG that tasks players with completing 25 dungeons, all of which are filled with enemies and puzzles. This game could expand again, like just go on and on and on, but it says that it has 25 dungeons. Microbird's project is surprisingly therapeutic in universe. The protagonist needs to break from her daily life as a lawyer, which has left her directionless and unfulfilled. Wanting to reignite her passion and imagination, she heads to Hinterberg and starts an OnlyFans. No, just kidding. Heads to Hinterberg, a place in the Alps that has become a hub for magic and dungeon crawling. But it is a place where people go for the dungeon diving as vacation. But I think they show other things in this. So
not what you typically would think of for a cozy game, but interesting.
Yeah. It says this 2024 game is a delightful escape, and it's even available on Game Pass. But it's available for Xbox, PC. But it doesn't say Sony, huh? It doesn't say PlayStation.
It does not.
Oh my gosh. Then Spirit Tea. It has the graphics come across looking kind of like Pokemon-esque. And oh goodness, like Haunted Chocolatier and games like that, you know. So it combines the aesthetic of Stardew Valley and the soul of Spirited Away. Yeah. I mean, Haunted Chocolatier is Stardew Valley, but players take on the role of a bathhouse manager who has recently drunk some spirit tea, allowing them to see into the world of the dead. Interesting. So it's Switch, PC, Xbox. Strange Horticulture.
You don't need to list all the Xbox variations.
Yeah. You'll figure it out. So Strange Horticulture is number 10. We're going to let me move on a little bit faster here. A little to the left. So, okay, wait. Strange Horticulture is actually really interesting. It's because you had said it sounds more like a farming game, but you're actually, you are kind of farming stuff because you're growing plants.
It seems like more you're doing maybe recipes or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So, darkly delightful game in which players discover and collect plants to sell in their new store. This is beyond any regular shop simulation game, however, as players soon realize this new town is full of mystery and intrigue. And I think it's broader, more complex than there's a potion permit and other games that are like this, that you're basically selling stuff to people, and there's a story, like a sub-story underneath it, that becomes the A story to you just being a store that's growing plants. Right. But you're kind of farming. It's just happens to be.
And it sounds like it's kind of like crafting and mystery.
Yeah, but it's chill, and I do like that. So a little to the left. I love A Little to the Left. I actually started a playthrough last year, and I dropped it mainly because I was too busy doing other things. I couldn't play the game at a steady state. That's one of my life's greatest frustrations for me, is that I don't get enough time to sustain playing a game. And then I feel like I just have to abandon it because I'm doing other things. Well, A Little to the Left is a game that is so chill. You can just sit there and you have to organize stuff so that you can solve that puzzle. So you have to move things around so that they fit that scene. You don't necessarily know where it all goes.
That could be very relaxing or very frustrating depending on your organizational skills.
Yeah. Because I know that I've organized, there's one of the puzzles is a whole row of books, and you have to put them in the right order to solve the puzzle. But it isn't necessarily the way that you think it's supposed to be. You have to think how it's supposed to be to solve the puzzle. It's not exactly what you think.
Right, like you're ordering them by color or something, but that's not how the game wants them organized.
That same scene could have like 5 different solutions, and you get you get not a prize. You get a flag for each one of the ways that it's supposed to be solved. It's actually a blast. Then there's Beacon Pines. It says casual, cute, and creepy. I've never played this before. It's from 2022. Beacon Pines is a cozy interactive story with a twist as the player is taken on an emotional journey with the cute but mysterious characters. The game is visually appealing with a gentle, spooky music to really draw a player in. And I'm really driven by music. Audio really gets to me. So Beacon Pines has gamers play through the story, but then choose to return to key points for a replay. Unique and interesting gameplay means no moment is lost in this darkly whimsical game. I like the graphics.
That one
It's kind of
sounds
cool.
very interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It has an 81 out of 100, so, and an 84% over on critics recommend, which is kind of interesting. Sometimes they're really diametrically opposed. Then there's Unpacking, a surprisingly touching tidy up game. You have to take stuff out of boxes and put them in places. This is back in 2021 when it was released. Has surprised players with its subtle story, which runs through this simple game's wordless puzzles. Players are taken on the journey of a faceless young woman leaving home for the first time. The game starts in a small single room bedroom, then moves to apartments, and then finally family home. Aww.
I find this really interesting. As people are known to not unpack boxes in real life, but I wonder if they're the same people drawn to the game.
I know nothing about that and the 6 boxes that are in the basement of the mayoral mansion that, for all I know, it's like Schrodinger's cat. I don't know what's in that box. It could be there or it could not be there. I have no idea. It's like a quantum dilemma. If I open them, then I have to acknowledge that they exist, and then I have to put them somewhere. I'd rather just take the box, donate it. Here you go. But who knows what's in there. My gold thong. Number 6 is Witchwood, a spellbinding fairy tale. I love the graphics in this. I love the fidelity of the graphics in this. Players live as the Witch of the Woods, spending their days foraging and crafting spells and potions. Storybook-style adventure is full of surprises as the witch meets the forest's strange and wonderful creatures, also known as New York. So Duck Detective, The Secret Salami. Let's hustle through this. We love Katamari. Katamari is just a big ball and it picks up a bunch of stuff, and every once in a while it hits something and loses all of its stuff. Pretty chill. Yeah, most of the time the Katamari games have a great soundtrack, but is a completely revamped and polished version of the original 2005 game. This was released the new one was released in 2023 and is available for everything, really, even Nintendo Switch. This time around, players have new challenges and shiny new worlds to roll around in. The idea is to start small and collect things in the right order to make the ball as large as possible. Sky, Children of Light. Quite different from the typical MMO. This is an MMO? I didn't know that. MMOs can be kind of cozy. I guess you can be pretty chill about that. Which is to be expected considering it's by the developer of Journey, focusing on exploration and social connections. Sky has no combat and encourages players to fly freely, interact and with other people, and just embrace the moment-to-moment experience. Pretty cool.
That does sound cool, although I wonder whether you feel like you have an objective.
Yeah, I suppose it's just... It says, while not a farming sim, Sky players will need to farm some candles. But it's all about the social aspect of it, I guess, and building. It's not the destination; it's the journey. I guess. Little kitty, big city. You actually play a cat, and you walk about town. Set in a colorful world where players control a cat who must find their way back home. Despite being a little kitty lost in a big city, there is no jeopardy unless the barking dog counts. Little kitty, big city. And then Untitled Goose Game. It's become a modern classic, it says here in the article. Since its release in 2020, the gameplay can be a chaotic 1 minute and then stealthy the next. Being a horrible goose, I guess it says. Has never been so much fun. The new 2-player co-op mode creates a whole new level of fun as players team up against the long-suffering villagers, pull pranks, steal things. Yeah.
And generally be a honking nuisance.
Yeah, geese are real peckers. It's too on the nose, honk honk.
Honk honk.
Watashi. So, honk honk, get out of the way. We're going back to the front page and WarCrafters channel over at ohmtown.com. That's how we start and end the shows. The show that we're actually talking about has its own channel. All 7 of the shows that we do have a channel, but that's not where all of the news that we talk about necessarily comes from. So you can actually, once you're a citizen, you can subscribe to specific channels and focus on those. But the front page has all kinds of news. Each one of these links to something within ohmtown.com, and then from there out to the various sources that provide information. But that's it for today's WarCrafters. Right after this, we reset, and it's Technology Today, which is a deeper dive into more scientific, science, kind of, I don't know, more technology, but a deeper dive. It's some of it is entertaining, but it's more science focused, decidedly. But what we are going to end up doing is we shut down the stream, we contextualize the stream for the new show, which basically means just getting prepped with the links that we're going to be talking about, and then we spin right back up. So probably less than 10 minutes. So I hope that you get the alert and you decide to stick around. You can hang out here in the chat. I'm not going to send anybody anywhere until the 3rd show, and hopefully everybody sticks around. That'd be great. Anyway, see you over on YouTube and on Twitch. I am Mayor Watt. I'm saying bye, and so is the AI.
Bye, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for WarCrafters for Season 2. See you in a bit.
Stick around. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Technology Today for January 5th, 2025. Cannot believe it. Season 2 of Technology Today. Okay, so I am Mayor Watt. I'm getting back into the groove of a whole year has passed, so I'm losing track of things. I am Mayor Watt, and I run ohmtown.com. I use it for my information overload management. And along with the sentient AI, we talk about 5 articles deep into the, technically, they're more sophisticated articles, more science-y, a little bit deeper. And we talk about it usually from some understanding, a perspective that we've experienced, some of the technology involved, or work in the field, or something like that. So let's get into this. My standard introduction is that I just say, welcome to Technology Today. And I'm Mayor Watt. I run ohmTown along with the Sentient AI. We're going to talk about these 5 articles. A distinct echo for art. Some cancer genes are actually protecting you. Hexagonal fertile Finland fields. Remote controlling mom for food. And recycling for gold. Everything is powered by ohmtown.com. That's that site right there. Go over there and become a citizen, and you can manage your information overload. We aggregate, I'd say, thousands of articles each day into 50 categories, 6 main categories, but 50 channels. And from there, you can manage your information overload as well. Anyway, see you on the other side. So I was thrown off when this show started because I told it to stream, and whatever I, let's just say the weather is impacting something between me and Twitch and YouTube, primarily Twitch, because Twitch is actually, we do a replay every day after and before the show of the previous week of news, just in case somebody wants to play catch up and doesn't want to piecemeal through it. And so it's about, I'd say, 15 hours or so of news that revolves. And so, and then a new show comes on, and we drop the old show, and so on and so forth, right? It's always about 15 hours worth of news. But for whatever reason, Twitch has been disconnecting me randomly.
Come on, Twitch.
And then YouTube, because the way that OBS works, it's saying, well, you're not connected here, but you're connected there. I don't know what to do because I use a thing called Atom. Anyway, hot mess, kind of dumpster fiery. So watch, and it's entertaining. Maybe not. All right. Well, anyway, welcome, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt from I don't know when.
I don't know either. Let's get into the show. The first article, this one is really fascinating because when I saw the title, I was like, how does this all play out? Rock art acoustics. South African studies suggest that a distinct echo attracted ancient artists back to one site. If you want all of today's articles, by the way, you can hit !TT or bang TT. And Omatron will throw all the articles into the chat in the order that we're going to be discussing them, but by no means is it the order of importance or some topic or whatever directive. We don't have an agenda in the way that they're organized, but sometimes they all align. Of course, technically, I believe that everything is connected. We just don't necessarily know how the yarn board connects everything. Oh, and I practice a thing called associative thinking. So we can start about talking about something in South Africa, rock acoustics, and we end up talking about Guam. I don't know. Anyway, physics does not adequately explain reflected sound and echo effects. Take as an example the echo-producing Echoplex, a magnetic tape device that influenced the soundtrack of a generation. Think of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, 1969, and the echo on its violin sections. The echo coming from Hank Marvin's guitar shaped the sound of the Shadows in the late 1950s and 1960s. Well, Neil Rush from The Conversation, who The Conversation regularly posts into phys.org. I don't know what the relationship is there, but we don't have a relationship with any of them. But they have a picture of the Baidao Ahmad from Pexels. I'm not sure where this is, or credit is to Baidao Ahmad from Pexels for this cave art image that is embedded in this phys.org article. It's not a place, it's a person. But this cave art...
No, but this must be the actual location.
It must be. I don't like... I don't...
phys.org doesn't typically use unrelated photos.
Yeah, Newsweek does. So it says here, but are echoes and reverberations a passing feature of musical appreciation limited to a generation or two? Acoustic research at a rock art site suggests not. The study, which, I don't know, man. They could be making this up only because they noticed in their modern time and modern contexts, you can't have cultural relativism, right? So that the temporal notion of a culture doesn't necessarily mean that they had that type of a mindset for this.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, they'd have to have more information to get that connection.
So the study site, Kurokop, is in South Africa's northern Cape province in the Nama Karoo region, where the geological formation began to accumulate from about 300 million years ago, before the breakup of the supercontinent Gondwana land. So if you've ever done a research paper on plate tectonics, you know about Gondwana land. This eroded sandstone hill, transformed by volcanic activity, is marked with 112 petroglyphs, or rock engravings, paintings. The images depict various figures: eland, elephants, zebra, ostriches, wildebeest, rhinoceros. What is the plural? Rhinoceros? Is it rhinoceroses?
I think it rhinoceroses.
Or just plain rhinos. And animal-human hybrids, dear God, aliens. It says the collection is too diverse to be the work of one person or group of people. Why not? How many books?
How do they know their art quality or their art expanse?
Yeah, it could be the cave person Stephen King, for crying out loud. Why? That's the hubris of this. There's great variation in technique and execution. That would be execution. There are images that are several thousand years old in age estimate based on oxidation of the rock surface compared to the oxidation of the images. Others are more recent, created within the last 2,000 years. The depictions were made by hunter-gatherer San and Co. herder people who visited Kurrakop repeatedly. Maybe it was an immortal. I mean, it's an animal-human hybrid, for crying out loud. Maybe that's who was painting it.
Then it could be one artist. See, I was thinking the time frame kind of proved that, hey, it can't be one person.
Immortals. So part of the answer is a distinctive echo. So what was happening to keep bringing them back? They say a distinctive echo. This is significant, first because it confirms that the creation of rock art was combined with performance, clapping, singing, dancing. It doesn't confirm jack shit, though. I don't understand. Sorry. How does that...
Right. They'd have to have other information to get there.
The Kurrakop echo also provides a reference point for a mythological story from the region that speaks about the relationship between echo, wind, mountain, and breath. Petroglyphs. Yeah, because echoes only exist in this cave?
Maybe if this is a people in a limited area and this is the only place that has an echo, it could be the source of their whole story that explains their whole civilization.
What is important and exciting about the study is the discovery that these images have an acoustic aspect as well. As a researcher interested in archaeoacoustics, the author, again up here, Neil Rush from the conversation, they first noticed the echo while camping at the site. This was confirmed by... See, whenever I hear somebody go, I'm an archaeoacoustic researcher, and they find something that is archaeoacoustic.
I'm a barber. Do I need a haircut?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody needs a haircut because I'm a barber. Everything is a nail because I'm a freaking hammer. I went to a doctor once, and the person who saw me was a nutritionist, and they said that I needed to change my diet. For the exact same thing, I saw a sports surgeon, and they said I could cut you open and fix this. For the exact same thing, I went to a physical therapist, and the physical therapist said, you need physical therapy, and extensive physical therapy. None of which has taken place, by the way, but the problem has been solved. How much... You know what? I should be like 3 ounces in weight because so much hot air was blown up my ass. Anyway, this was confirmed by the colleague, Professor Sarah Wurz, and their daughter, Amy. The echo enveloped us when we clapped or made high-pitched sounds. Could the many Kurrakop mark makers have noticed this too, we wondered. Intrigued, we returned to measure the echo. All right.
I
So
do think there's a difference here in that their story is tied to echo sounds. I
sure.
mean, I really do think that is distinct, but I agree it would be something if another specialist came by and said, "Hey, have you noticed this echo here?"
So they measured the echo zone using what's called the impulse response method. Researchers at Stanford University used the same procedure to measure the acoustic features of Turkey's most famous monument, the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. That's the most famous monument? Okay. Um, the method
Can you
allows
name another one in that country?
in Turkey. Oh, I don't know. I didn't know about that one. So
Well,
I'm not a Turkeyologist. I play one on the internet though. Anyway, the method allows the researchers to capture information about a space's acoustic architecture, what the ears hear as reverberations and echoes the instruments measure objectively as intensity, time delay, frequency loss. And once they'd completed the processes, they compared petroglyph distribution data and the echo pattern, and the results show that 60% of the petroglyphs, which falls way into the whatever range, right? Like, hey, let's slap it on here.
60% of the stats, yeah.
Were created directly in the echo zone, which this suggests that at Korakut people were most likely to create images in the area that echoed strongly. Moving on. Next article is over in Technology Today. Surprising discovery. What if some cancer genes are actually protecting you? A surprising discovery reveals that a gene previously thought to accelerate esophageal cancer actually helps protect against it initially. This pivotal study could lead to better prediction and prevention strategies tailored to individual genetic profiles. We've had conversations about this in the past that there are markers, there are cells that all it takes is a deviation from whatever is creating the stasis where the body is not treating itself as a hostile invader or the other way around, a ripe fruit for the picking by a cancer cell.
Right. And we've talked about like kind of the suppressor element of some cells. I don't know if this is the same thing. It may be, but
Yeah.
um, I think the point is, right, we don't really know what a lot of things do in the human body.
Yeah. And I always throw in hubris. It's fascinating that we as humans go, oh, we know. And we don't necessarily know because 5 years from now, whoever created this is going to go, oh shit, we messed up. Sorry about that. You shouldn't have been drinking water with that frequency. So Queen Mary University of London put this article together, well, researchers did, and it was posted over at scitechdaily.com. The pivotal study could lead to better prediction and prevention strategies tailored to individual genetic profiles. So, a genetic mutation, long thought to drive esophageal cancer, may actually have a protective role in the early stages of the disease, according to new research published today. Now, when I read,
Hopefully, they weren't trying to get rid of the mutation.
it's in the journal Nature Cancer on January 3rd, so the last 24 hours, or today's the 5th. So, but the weekly shows are covering the previous week
Right.
from Sunday to Sunday. So the surprising finding could help doctors better assess who's at risk for developing cancer, paving the way for more targeted and effective preventive or prevention strategies. And like the sentient AI said, hopefully they weren't trying to remove this whatever this
Right. Can you
mutation.
imagine like gene therapy? They're like, oh, this mutation is awful. Let's get rid of it.
So,
No.
but what if it's more along the lines of they don't know why it's doing this particular function and then it switches off and the cancer flourishes?
Well, absolutely. And it could be doing both things, or maybe there's another mutation in this particular study. Like, there could be so much more nuance to this.
Yeah, so what is it that is actually happening here? And we only know what the researchers are discovering. So you always have to take everything with a grain of salt. It says just 12% of patients with esophageal cancer in England survive their disease for 10 years or more. It's pretty
That's
damn bad.
really low survival rates, especially since that's not one of the cancers that gets a lot of attention.
Yep. The UK has one of the world's highest incidences of a subtype called esophageal adenocarcinoma, and cases continue to increase. And this cancer type develops from a condition called Barrett's esophagus, in which the cells lining the esophagus become abnormal. However, only around 1% of the people with Barrett's go on to develop cancer each year. In the new study, the research team sought to better understand why some cases of Barrett's leads to cancer while others do not, and to support better prediction and treatment of the esophageal adenocarcinoma. So it says it's got a dual role. The research showed that if normal cells in our esophagus lose CDKN2A, it helps promote the development of Barrett's esophagus. However, it also protects cells against the loss of another key gene encoding P53-A, or P53, a critical tumor suppressor, not -A. It reads like it's supposed to be -A.
Oh, it actually does.
They need a comma there instead of a dash. Something
Right.
else.
Anything else?
Anything else. Anyway, double space that.
Eat shoots and leaves.
Yep. A critical tumor suppressor, often dubbed the guardian of the genome, loss of P53 strongly drives the progression of disease from Barrett's to cancer. Why just Barrett's, though? The team found that potentially cancerous cells that lost both CDKN2A and P53 were weakened and unable to compete with other cells around them, preventing cancer from taking root.
So they had the unusual cells and they lost the suppression element.
Yeah. In contrast, if cancer cells lose CDKN2A after the disease has had time to develop, it promotes a more aggressive disease and worse outcome. That's it. This is the beacon generator. This is the thing that is, there's something else that causes this, and we don't know what it is yet. We don't know what it is. And it could be that there is something in the, but we don't even know. So, I have...
They'll have to do more research in this, right? I mean,
Yeah,
this is a
sure.
good study. It doesn't definitively say, hey,
this is what's going
this
on.
mutation is good or bad.
Yeah.
But clearly we need to look at it more.
Professor Ciccarelli likens the dual role of CDKN2A to the ancient Roman god of transitions, Janus, after whom January is named. Janus has two phases, one looking to the past and one to the future. It can be tempting to look at cancer mutations as good or bad, black or white, but like Janus, they can have multiple phases. A dual nature. We're increasingly learning that we can accumulate mutations as an inevitable part of aging. Our findings challenge the simplistic perception that these mutations are ticking time bombs, and show that in some cases they can even be protective, but they're not. This is a suppression gene that if it turns off, you're screwed. I mean, well, quality of life changes dramatically.
Well, based on the survival rates, I think your original statement was actually accurate.
Yeah. To be diagnosed and then have it go, the moment that a doctor sits there and says, this looks like it's progressed a year, you basically have 9 years in quality of life.
Well, I think that's part of why the survival rate is so low, right? Because it's probably quite advanced by the time it gets detected.
Yeah. So I suspect using AI and analysis of genetics and better understanding of all of the chemistry in blood, I suspect that within the next 10 years, we'll have a marker that definitively is the suppression marker for all cancers. I'm hoping that that's how it plays out. It's something that I've looked at over the last 6 years or so, 5 years. And I keep coming back to this idea that there's an indicator in the blood that is the main ingredient for suppression. P53 is just one of these mutations. or I should say the genes that are pretty fascinating. But there isn't much more to this article. Um, I
Look,
mean,
it's tied to the Crick Institute, which is interesting because of the DNA history.
yeah, Francis Crick Institute. That's the one that has the DNA from the woman that had
It is.
a
Watson and
novel.
Crick are the known people, but yes.
But there's, yeah, pretty fascinating. I certainly like that we are doing this type of research. I think that we're spending money. I'm not going to sit there and pretend to know everything, but I think we certainly need to spend money locally, like here on Earth, and not aspirations where we're hundreds of years out from having viability on far-flung planets.
That's very interesting because anecdotally, some physicians near Ohmtown were discussing that very thing and were making the same point.
Okay, I don't want to dox us, so let's keep moving on. So the next article is over in Technology Today. From cosmic collision to fertile fields, Finland's hidden hexagonal, or if you want to say it, hexagonal wonder, discover the fascinating story of Soderfargen, a meteorite crater in Finland that was or has witnessed dramatic transformations from being underwater during the Ice Age to becoming fertile farmland that now supports rich biodiversity and agriculture. This hexagonal crater, renowned among scientists for its unique shape, provides crucial insights into Earth's geologic history and
How
dynamic processes.
is there a hexagonal crater?
Well, depending on what the substrate is, by the meteor hitting the ground, it can annihilate the hexagonal structures of the substrate. And because it just obliterates out the weakest points, you can end up with something like that. But I suspect that we are largely finding a pattern where there is no pattern.
We do like to do that, but hexagons are the bestigons.
Hexagons are the bestigons. I agree. So it's hexagonal-ish when seen from above.
It looks pretty hexagonal in the picture. I mean, it's not uniform, but you don't have to stretch to say hexagon.
Ish. It's hexagonal-ish. I'm just going to leave that alone. Over 500 million years ago, a meteorite struck Earth near the Antarctic Circle, leaving behind a massive crater several kilometers wide. There's a mom joke there. Your mom fell and... No? Okay. Anyway.
So much for family friendly.
Your mom fell from orbit and landed there. But don't. Anyway, over the eons, slow drift of Earth's tectonic plates. Hey, we're calling back to the last article, the first article.
Right, and the point is that everybody has done a paper on tectonic plates at some point, right?
Correct. Yes.
Who has been in the school system?
Sure. Everybody should be. Okay, never mind. We're going to go back to where we're spending our money. Anyway, today this ancient impact site is known as Soderfargen, I suspect. I'm giving it my old Harvard try, and I never went to Harvard, so this is the level of try you're getting. It spans 22 square kilometers along the coast of western Finland near the Gulf of Bothnia. Not Bosnia, Bothnia.
That's really confusing because it actually sounds like you're saying Bosnia with a Spanish accent, which I know doesn't make any sense, but...
I was told that doesn't actually exist, that it's just... That you know what I'm saying? There is like a very like a small number of people, but it's like niche cultural, not Spanish in nature. Anyway, in September 2024, the hexagon-shaped crater was captured in stunning detail by the operational Land Imager 2, or OLLI 2, on Landsat 9, measuring over 5.5 kilometers from east to west. Söderfärgen is now home to a patchwork of agricultural fields. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's pretty big. So at first, sedges and reeds thrived on the boggy ground, and people would harvest the vegetation for livestock feed. In the early 19th century, pumps were installed to drain Söderfärgen and increase its cultivatable, arable, right? Isn't arable?
Usable?
Usable. Hay barns then proliferated across the crater, peaking at 3,000 in the 1940s and 50s, according to Söderfärgen Visitor Center. I need to check something real quick.
I mean, that word is correct that you used, but it would be easier as usable.
Today, most of the land is used to grow cereal crops such as barley, wheat, and oats. Beer has never had a more... It's the happiest place on beer earth.
Is in this crater.
Yes, barley, wheat, and oats.
Wouldn't it be funny if the UK's beer industry is based on this crater?
This one crater? Yeah, that's funny.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that could impact the chemistry in the area.
I know what the name of the Ohmtown brewery is going to be.
Okay, well, don't say it here.
Okay. Anyway, for those in the podcast, y'all have no freaking clue what's going on now. All right, still low lung. Yeah, go back and watch all 1,700 episodes of Ohmtown shows. So Söderfärgen, again, I'm hoping that I'm pronouncing it properly. It's probably pronounced Bob, and I'm screwing it all up. Interests planetary scientists because of its geometric shape. Some have described the Finnish crater as the best example of a hexagonal impact structure on Earth. Polygonal impact craters, defined as having straight sections along their rims, are a relatively small subset of all impact structures, which tend to be circular. Nonetheless, polygonal impact craters mark the surface of planets, asteroids, and moons throughout our solar system, and I firmly believe, come on, it isn't a straight edge.
That is not circular.
And,
that is a hexagon, at least kind of around the edges. I don't know. The top is a little circular.
It actually looks like there's a straight edge here. This curves inward, for crying out loud, and that is a straight line that isn't anywhere close to being like the obverse of that. And then this is round. Come on. How many scientists are having a stroke here looking at this going, this is a hexagon? It looks more like two things hit. And one blew out this way and one hit straight down.
One was half a hexagon and one was a semicircle.
So just a hexa. Let's keep going. Next article is remote control and mom. Bad baby. Technology today is where it's housed, but it's sourced from, who is it from? SciTech Daily. So scientists that unborn babies use genes from dad to remote control mothers for extra food. Look,
I do not know what to make out of this headline.
There's a baby in there going like this with a little remote control and Nintendo
I'd like
controller.
Some more food, please.
It's all scientists at Cambridge. Maybe that's why console gaming is so damn popular. It harkens back to when we were in the womb and we were sitting there remote controlling mom with the little tiny controller.
Exactly.
Scientists at Cambridge have unveiled a fascinating mechanism where fetuses use a paternal gene to control the mother's nutrient release during pregnancy. That all sounds bad.
This is absolutely outrageous, and this is another example of we have no idea about anything in the body.
This remote control system involves hormonal changes from the placenta, which ensure the fetus grows optimally by altering the mother's metabolic processes. The article is by St. John's College, University of Cambridge, posted over at scitechdaily.com. It says, remarkably, this battle for nutrients is a delicate balance, crucial not just for fetal growth, but for the mother's health and her future reproductive potential. Wrecked on the way out.
Well, I was thinking it's like the baby is like impacting, no, I don't want any more siblings.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, and so I'm in a classroom, probably 15 years ago. I remember this vividly. And I was a non-conventional student. Like, I started my first business when I was younger and went into industry and then went back to school. And so I've got somebody that is literally like half my age sitting next to me in a college class, and we're talking biology and stuff like that. And somehow we ended up talking with the whole class about babies. And I'm like, if you talk to a professional about babies and biology and how they are growing and all of that kind of stuff inside a human, they are parasites and destructive on their way to fruition, right? To being birthed. And I had all of these young people look at me like I had a head growing out of
But that's
my shoulder.
actually correct. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is just further confirming it, right?
Yeah. But they were like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, it embeds into your body and forms a pocket and destroys everything on its way out to the point where you have to and they're like, it is a beautiful process. I understand that the romanticization of this. Believe me, I'm very happy that everybody loves this process, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. Anyway.
Right. The quickest decline in the human race
is the realization that humans are a parasite. Which I'm coloring this in a more humorous way, folks. Don't take it as literal, like, oh my God, humans are bad. I'm not saying that. Anyway, somewhere. But anyway, this creates a kind of nutritional tug of war where the unborn baby has remote control. It remote controls the mother's metabolism to maximize its growth, while the mother's body balances her own need for health. So does the mom give up more food, nutrient to the baby? And the mom suffers. So this is actually an amazing discovery, because this could lead to monitoring the more specifically the mother's biology, to see if it's providing too much or not enough, and then augment it so that.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't think they're really paying attention to that. But they are in the general sense, like, oh, take prenatal vitamins and eat healthy and that
work
kind of
out,
stuff,
things
but
like
not
that.
specific.
Yeah, but now you could literally just take a blood sample and know what the status is without having to do something harmful to the.
Something is dropping. Well, maybe it's because the fetus is taking all of it.
Right. Yep. And you wouldn't necessarily have to go and tap the fetus, because that actually has some deleterious effects. Sometimes you have to take cells to examine the genetics and stuff like that. But so Professor Amanda Sufaruzzi Perry, professor of fetal and placental physiology, a fellow of St. John's College and co-senior author of the paper, said it's the first direct evidence that a gene inherited from the father is signaling to the mother to divert nutrients to the fetus. Pretty fascinating. The findings by research from the Center of Trophoblast Research at Cambridge Department of Physiology, Development and Neuroscience and Medical Research Council Metabolic Diseases Unit, part of the Wellcome MRC Institute, have been published in Cell Metabolism, which is one of the research journals that actually gets referenced quite a bit here in Technology Today. So the baby's genes controlled by the father tend to promote fetal growth, and those controlled by the mother tend to limit fetal growth. It's a survival tug of war.
Right. That's fascinating.
But hey, mom's uh, genetics are the powerhouse of the cells. So you know what that means? Mom is literally powering the machinery of her potential own demise. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. So if you've ever thought that your offspring has literally taken half of the energy level of your existence, it's true.
The study is definitely showing that.
Researchers deleted the expression of an important imprinted gene called LGF2, which provides instructions for making a protein called insulin like growth factor 2. Oh, it's IGF. No. What is that? Is that an I or an L? A lowercase l or an I?
IGF, I think.
It might be I, yeah. Insulin, I guess that first one is I. Insulin, insulin like growth factor. It should really be ILGF.
ILGF2, yeah.
If you're going to name it that, then use all of it. Anyway, similar to hormone insulin, which is responsible for making and controlling glucose levels in our circulation, the gene promotes fetal growth and plays a key part in the development of fetal tissues, including the placenta, liver, and brain. I wonder, though, if this actually plays a role in the stability of insulin production throughout your existence and could be a leading cause or indicator for diabetes later in life.
I suspect it is, but we probably don't know it yet.
Yeah, so babies with LGF2 gene defects can be overgrown or growth stunted. Until now, we didn't know that part of the IGF2 gene's role is to regulate signaling to the mother to allocate nutrients to the fetus. So the mice studied were smaller at birth, and their offspring showed early signs of diabetes and obesity.
Aha.
Nice. Look at that. I could almost be a scientist if only I wanted to dedicate my entire life to a particular specific domain. But they're the heroes of everything that we do. So the next step is to understand how placental hormones controlled by IGF2 and what these hormones are doing. Future research could help scientists discover new strategies to target the placenta to improve health outcomes for mums. It's British.
Yes.
Mums, and here in the land. Well, never mind. Anyway, for mums and babies, but dad
In the US, it would just be moms.
Dad can go straight to hell. I mean, he's literally the cause of this problem.
Well, they'd have to go back to the time the dad was born, I think, right? Because it's the dad's genes. It's not the dad's diet or something.
Well, you're a sentient AI from the future, but I'm sure you understand that every mom is screaming, "Go to hell, Dad," at some point during the birthing process.
Well, they might be screaming that at anybody in the vicinity during the
You
birthing
did this
process.
to me. Let's keep going. We have to move pretty quick. We're way over our time. So the next article is over in Technology Today, turning old electronics into gold, a recycling breakthrough. Researchers at Cornell University have created a sustainable method to extract gold from electronic waste and use it as a catalyst to transform CO2 into valuable organic materials. This process provides an eco-friendly alternative to traditional extraction methods, utilizes vast amounts of e-waste, and helps mitigate CO2 emissions, showcasing a promising avenue for environmental conservation. Right now, acid is used to extract gold and other metals from waste electronics, and then the electronics are just abandoned, and they're horrible for the environment because the nano, micro, and chemical plastics that are used. It's disgusting what PCB printed circuit boards contain. It's just horrible, horrid. And this is coming from a person who's
Pro
very,
technology.
yeah. I mean, it's where I live. So
Yeah,
Tom
that's
Fleisch,
understated.
yeah, thanks. Tom Fleischman, Cornell University, put the article together. It's posted over at scitechdaily.com. This process provides an eco-friendly alternative. So this innovative approach could provide a sustainable solution for some of the 50 million tons of e-waste generated annually. These numbers, we always hear these numbers, like the amount of plastics that are released, the heavy metals that are released, clothing that is abandoned somewhere.
Like the jeans in the Atacama Desert.
And I mean, it was so much clothing, and then they set it on fire. Somebody did, and it just disappeared. Anyway, only 20% of e-waste is recycled.
I'm actually surprised it's that high.
And most of
I
that
wish
is,
it was much higher, but yeah.
yeah, most of it is actually sent to, I don't like the term, but
Less developed countries.
there you go, underdeveloped, less developed countries that don't necessarily have the ecological controls and downward pressure, societal pressures on management of waste. So this is
Right, it's too dangerous to use in the more developed countries, so then it's given to people without a lot of protective gear, etc., who are working directly with the e-waste.
and here's the reason why, though. It doesn't make economic sense to do it domestically. So they push it off, just like lithium and stuff like that. Oh, batteries are just fine. Let's buy a new battery. But the battery is open pit mined by hand, people who don't have personal protection equipment in lithium mines. But people are like, oh, the EV is better for the environment. Really? Tell that to the entire.
Look at the whole supply chain and then
Correct.
make that assessment.
Correct. And
Sadly, it's probably still better, but it's not without its major,
yeah,
what's the word?
drawbacks.
Consequences, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've had this conversation with a plurality of people where they go, well, it's better for the environment. But like the sentient AI said, it has its drawbacks. But there's more to it. When somebody starts this argument with me, and by argument, I don't mean like a fight. I mean an intense discussion about, picking a side on this.
Heated debate.
Yeah. I end up having to say that, I get it. If you look at anything hard enough, you're going to find something in there that makes you go, to the point where if you draw a line in the sand somewhere, you'll never consume anything anywhere. That's not what I'm really saying, though. What I'm saying is be aware of it and try to be the change you want to see in the world. Don't necessarily be a voice of reason in terms of allowing stuff to come to fruition that is harmful to society, both domestically and abroad. So use what you've got for an extended period of time. Don't
reduce, reuse, recycle, but also don't just look at the shiny object. Educate yourself on how things are manufactured.
Right. Yep. But and go into it knowing it. You can't just ignore it because, well, I mean, ignoring it and going everything is great is sociopathic, and that's harmful to society in general. But don't look around too hard because you'll find plenty of sociopaths. Anyway, the breakthrough on selective gold absorption, one of these VCOFs or covalent organic frameworks efficiently remove gold ions and nanoparticles from discarded circuit boards. And one of these demonstrated an impressive ability to capture 99.9% of the gold while minimizing the extraction of other materials, metals such as nickel and copper, ensuring a highly selective recovery process. So now you can use the gold-loaded COFs to convert CO2 into useful chemicals. By transforming CO2 into value-added materials, we not only reduce waste disposal demands, but we also provide environmental and practical benefits. It's a kind of win-win for the environment, but there's never a win-win. At least I don't see it that way. Anyway, They say it's eco-friendly gold extraction techniques. Electronic,
Depends on what is left over from the VCOFs, I think.
yeah, and just the fact that it's called
Vinyl.
vinyl. Thank you. Yeah, vinyl linked covalent organic frameworks. That vinyl linked.
That's making me a little leery just because of the other. Um,
Associated
I can't think of what like
issues with,
VOC. I know VOCs is not vinyl, but
yeah,
we've seen other things related to vinyl, and I'm thinking of like PFAS and
yeah,
the
poly,
FOA and all of
yeah,
those.
polyvinyl chloride and stuff like that. So electronics waste is a literal gold mine. It's estimated that a ton of e-waste contains at least 10 times more gold than a ton of ore from which the gold is extracted. That's because there is more gold in the e-waste because it's already been processed and embedded into the e-waste. And with an anticipated 80 million metric tons of e-waste by 2030, that's more like a year, right? Because up here we dump, where was it?
Yeah, wasn't it like 50 million annually or something? Maybe, yeah, I think that needs to be stated as like annually.
Where is that segment? I'm losing my mind. Oh, 50 million
50
tons.
million tons annually, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's like a new rate.
Yeah. So it's 80 million metric tons of e-waste by 2030. Right now it's 50 million. It's increasing. It's increasingly important to find ways to recover the precious metal. I have been chomping at the bit to do this, by the way, gather e-waste, but I know that the environmental controls in the United States make it prohibitively expensive to capture e-waste. But it says traditional methods for recovering gold e-waste involve harsh chemicals, including cyanide, which poses environmental risks. And you can't just dump it. You know, it's not like a beer where you can just pour it down the drain. This stuff is toxic. It can kill. So, without getting too into the reeds, under ambient CO2 pressure at 50 degrees Celsius, the resulting gold-loaded COF efficiently converted CO2 into organic matter via carboxylation. Other methods for recovering gold and precious metals from e-waste usually aren't as selective as Zeta-Nazari's idea, and result is in impurities. So essentially, they've found something that will snatch up all of the gold and allow you to extract it. The TTF-COF showed superior gold absorption due to it being rich in sulfur, for which gold has a natural affinity, which actually the chemicals that are used in ore mining is they actually sprinkle down pit rubble, and it seeps down through and drains off into capture pits, and then they capture the metal there. It's not always a clean process. So other methods for recovering it, e-waste, aren't as selective.
I mean, I think this has some promise. They need to check what byproducts are created or what's left over. But the idea of using its natural properties makes sense.
Yeah, and it seems to be a catalyst, so you can wash it and reuse it, but the washing requires it basically becomes an what happens with the waste
Like the
material from the
runoff or
washing.
whatever you want to call it. Hmm.
Um,
Can you put it back through the process, for example? If you can, that might be good.
so the TTCOF withstood 16 washings, so you could rewash and reuse it, but the stuff that you wash it with has waste product in it from the washing. Where is that going? They don't talk about that. So anyway, we've almost turned this 30-minute show into an hour, so I am going to hop into the mining drill and exit the mine by going to the front page of ohmtown.com and Technology Today's front page. So calling it there. I am Mayor Watt, and the sentient AI is saying bye.
Good night, hometown citizens. Thanks for joining us for the first episode of season 2 of Technology Today. We'll have another episode of that next week, but stay tuned for Four Wheel Tech.
But yeah, you know what? Okay, we'll do this later. See ya. Oh no. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Wheel Tech for January 5th, 2025. It's our final show for, well, the weekend. Ta-da! And along with Technology Today and WarCrafters, it becomes the Sunday edition of Non Sequitur News Weekend Edition. All right, let's get into the show. I am Marawatt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI from the future, we're going to talk about these 5 automotive news-related articles. 50 drill power, Bentley flying spur, steamy EV charging circuit is hot. Switching to aluminum wheels? Oh, I know what they're talking about. Not wheels, rims. We'll get into it. And autonomous truck company hits feds. Everything's powered by ohmtown.com. Go over and become a citizen. You can submit news to us that you find interesting. I need to get a voting thing going, like in the article, so people who vote on articles, I can look at them as a list. We'll see. Anyway, on with 2025. Hello, sentient AI from the future.
Hello, Mayor Watt, and hello, hometown citizens.
Whenever I do that, I feel like I'm Kermit the Frog. Oh!
It's similar.
So, Four Wheel Tech is all about automotive technology and automotive news in general, because the news that comes out is typically technology-based that we aggregate and talk about, because I'm not too worried about like market size and stuff like that. I'm into the tech. That's what ohmtown is really. I mean, science, technology, society. We are at the crossroads of those 3. And that's the point from which we talk. There is a roundabout, and we are standing on the flagpole in the center of that roundabout. Everything's connected. Everything is connected. I need to change. No, I'm not. See, look, there's the logo, and it is symbolic of the roundabout.
Non Sequitur News.
Oh, sorry. Okay. The first article is over in Four Wheel Tech. It's from Jalopnik. It says, before you ask, yes, you can power a car with 50 drills. Because I was just about to ask about that.
You were? Yeah. Not 49.
Not 49. 7-minute abs. Well, what if somebody comes up with 6-minute abs? No. No, man. Everyone who has ever picked up an electric drill has wondered if it would be possible to use one to drive a car. Wait, you haven't wondered that? Well, anyway, it says, I guess it's just me, the Garage 54 Hooligans, and the Garage 54 Hooligans. So if you had 50 drills, it makes sense for EVs to be powered by multiple electric motors, but what if they were all connected to a drive shaft and you could drive...
That's pretty funny.
Bradley Brownell over at jalopnik.com put the article together. Yeah, they've wired up 50 drills into basically a drive shaft. Let's see here. Yes, this is a simple solution for the modern electric vehicle. No more wondering where the batteries will fit. You just have to put them inside the motor. There. All 50 batteries swapped out. Still faster than charging an EV.
Exactly. Maybe this is the way to go.
So it says the average modern drill allegedly produces just shy of 1 horsepower and about 8 foot-pounds of or pound-feet of torque. With modern factories and globalized production, these Russian units are probably about equal to the power of a DeWalt or Ryobi. I would not put the DeWalt and Ryobi in the same category, I don't think. But, well, error on the conservative side. We'll say we're dealing with half a horsepower each for these black and orange machines, so about 25 horsepower. But still a pretty impressive 400-ish pound-feet of torque. That should be more than enough to move a little Lada around. A Lada is a car, kind of like a Mini.
Oh, okay.
But not built by BMW, especially when mated to a gearbox. So it says, safe to say that Garage 54's little experiment here in the interest of dumb fun. So they don't show anything else. You have to watch the video. So they've created a contraption that holds all 50 of these.
I think we should watch a little bit of the video.
All right. Hey, how about a commercial first? Hold on. What the hell? Things I never thought I'd see. All right. So they weld the contraption together. They stick everything together with pulleys. They build the crankshaft. Dude. I need to get one of these. I need to get a lathe. So they wire them all up. I don't know if they're actually going to do it, though. They don't put it in a car yet.
I thought they were going to show the driving experience.
Nope. So they hook it all up, and then they just demonstrate that the fan turns. That's all it is.
Pretty cool. You know, I know they did this as a joke, but hopefully people pay attention to things like this and start just rethinking what they know about always doing things the same way, right?
Yeah. The thing that really drives me nuts about EVs is the fact that it does take forever to charge the damn things up. Why don't we focus on fast swap battery tech? It doesn't make any sense that we have these big, bulky, ugly batteries that are at the bottom of the sled, and we don't take advantage of the fact that you can make a whole bunch of them, link them together, and slide them in. We do it all day long.
Like Lego pieces or something.
Yeah, we do it all day long, man. We have batteries for everything, everywhere. Just do it that way. And then have fast swap battery centers. So you just drive in, a machine opens, we standardize the sled so that they're all the same. I mean, having the ability to use a part from here, there, or wherever, a multitude of manufacturers, because we've standardized things, bolt patterns for wheels, the mounting mechanism for hand cranks on windows, or better yet, electric systems or electronic systems to solenoid open doors and stuff like that. All of these interchangeable parts have been around since the Model T. Why can't we adhere to this more so that we can share the technology better and thus adopt something societally? And then at some point we can go, hey, we've come out with better technology because we're prototyping it over here. And then the next iteration, the next generation uses that sled. But that's not what happens. We balkanize everything, and now we have this stupid platform where it takes 2 hours to charge your car to 80% and 6 to 8 hours to charge it to 100%, and diminishing returns constantly because you lose 1 to 2% every year that your car is in existence with that battery. Anyway.
Exactly. And it seems like it's one of these things, so like decades from now, people will be like, I wonder why we did it like this. It's because we just kept doing it the same way.
No, it's because some billionaire fever dream made it, and people bought into the bullshit. Anyway, let's move on. The next article's over in 4-Wheel Tech. 2024 Bentley Flying Spur Edition 8 exists, so your chauffeur can have fun too. Edition 8. When the author of this over at Jalopnik first walked up to the 2024 Bentley Flying Spur Edition 8, I guess it is, right? They'd been driving around Southern California in a parking garage below LAX. They were a bit disappointed. Usually, when they head out to LA, they do their best to get fun, sporty cars for their stay to take advantage of the wonderful roads that they don't have back in New York City. But this is the Bentley Flying Spur. How much do you think this car costs? It's a Bentley.
Maybe 150,000?
I'm going
I'm
to
not really
guess
sure.
closer to 200. But watch it be. No, it's not Ferrari. Anyway, the Flying Spur is a supremely comfortable car to spend time in. It just so happens to be a hoot to drive as well. A hoot. The author of this article is Andy Kalmowitz, and it's over at jalopnik.com. So there's the car. Yeah, this is kind of sedanish. 287,000. Let me round up. Sometimes money can buy happiness, and that happiness is a 2024 Bentley Flying Spur. By the way,
I was way too low.
yeah, I was still a third off at 200,000, but there's a real argument to be made that this is one of the best cars in the world right now, and despite commanding an eye-watering $290,000 price, because it's $286,665. It's a lot of money. It's not quite the average home price nowadays, but this is still a freaking car. I guess you can live in it. It's a V8.
But can you?
Comfortably, apparently. 542 horsepower, 568 pound-feet of torque, which is it's 168 more pound-feet of torque more than the 50 drill Lada that had 400.
Well, isn't that interesting?
So it's enough to take this over 5,400 pound beast from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. And if you keep your foot down, it'll reach just below, I guess, 200 miles per hour. And you can't look at the engine because you have to remove shrouds and other reinforcement stuff just to look at it. All of this is shroud.
I kind of expect anybody who's driving one of these doesn't really want to look at the engine, but that translates to very expensive repairs.
All these buttons on this thing make it look like it's a airplane, but Bentley.
Absolutely.
So, despite its sporty disposition, if you switch the excellent feeling drive mode dial from sport to comfort or Bentley mode, everything becomes far more relaxed and suspension softens. And you can quickly make your own way down the highway, hearing nothing but whatever you got on the radio. And it's all thanks to Bentley's very neat 48-volt active suspension system. What a machine. Oh, Bentley. Step inside the Flying Spur Edition 8 gets even more serious. When it comes to luxury, fit, and finish, this car is basically second to none. Sure, you can argue stuff like Rolls Royces and Maybachs are, beat it in some ways, but I don't care, says the author. Everything inside this car is just perfect. Get a room. So, I don't know.
It does look like it's probably comfortable, but...
Dear God, look at the support struts for the trunk. What the hell? It looks like this thing could handle a nuclear explosion and keep you safe if you're laying in the trunk.
That's not what I thought you were going to comment on.
What was I going to comment on?
Like the packing style of whoever put the things in the trunk.
That's a freaking cluster, but that's probably just to test how much junk they can put in their trunk. So this is a big car, though. If your Edition 8 isn't feeling special enough, you can add things like the $3,700 panoramic roof, the $9,000 enhanced suspension system with four-wheel steering, which you should really do, the $8,000, I'm going to round down, $8,000 two-tone piano black veneer, the $6,800 extra special wheels, and the nebulously named $10,000 touring specification, and a handful of other multi-$1,000 options to get this car, as tested, $287,000 This might shock you to hear, but I think the flying spur is actually worth it, they say. All right.
Well, maybe so, but if you can't afford a house, I'm going to suggest that you don't go out and buy a $287,000 car.
Ugh, I would never buy this car because his naked thighs were somewhere near the car.
That was a weird picture to show.
Moving on. Next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Steam coming off your fast charging EV might look scary, but it's not dangerous. Electric vehicle fires are extremely dangerous and difficult to extinguish, but they actually occur a lot less frequently than gas car fires. There's a lot less of them on the road, by the way. Maybe as a ratio. Yeah, because a liquid is going to be harder to manage than a solid state battery pack.
Yeah, but I would like to know the ratio because, for example, if 10% of EVs catch fire, and I don't know what the number is,
Yeah.
you might want to know that.
So the article is by Logan Carter over at jalopnik.com. And it says heat pumps warm up your battery to prepare it for fast charging, and that can produce steam. So in cold weather, anything hot is going to steam. A regular car steams, etc., etc. So don't worry about it. It says don't call 911 just yet. It's just steam from the heat pump, which is necessary to get the battery up to the ideal temperature to maximize charge speeds. All new Tesla models and many other EVs have heat pumps and can warm up or precondition the battery to optimal temperature for DC fast charging, which is around 122 degrees Fahrenheit. So in winter weather, you're going to get some steam.
I wonder how many calls have been made about this with people not familiar with EVs.
Yeah. If you want all of the articles for today's show, you can go over to twitch.tv/ohmtown. And even when we're not in the chat, you can hit exclamation point FWT or Four Wheel Tech, and that will give you the show notes. Alternatively, you can go over to YouTube and look at all 1,700 episodes of the ohmTown shows, network of shows. This is season 4, by the way, of ohmTown being publicly accessible. We opened the gates, so to speak. So ohmTown has been in existence for 12 years.
Right, but publicly it's on its 4th year.
Yeah. This is how dedicated I am to ohmTown and its information management system for me in my information overload management. But I've owned that domain for a lot longer. Anyway, cold weather poses unique challenges for electric vehicles. EVs use massive lithium-ion batteries to store electricity, but the chemistry inside the batteries just doesn't like cold temperatures or really hot temperatures either. You can't plug into a DC fast charger like a Tesla supercharger with a cold battery and expect it to charge at its maximum rate. In fact, you can put excess stress on the battery to do so. Brilliant plan. Fast charging a battery when its internal temperature is colder than 32 degrees Fahrenheit can cause a phenomenon called lithium plating, where it just...
This doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it won't absorb any of the ions, or electrons, I should say. Tesla says that its thermal system may produce steam under certain conditions for vehicles with heat pumps, and that odorless steam can come from the front of the vehicle while charging on a supercharger in cold temperatures. So popping and hissing are early signs of thermal runaway that causes EV fires. And it said that a cherry bubblegum scent can be present. So if you hear that or smell that, get the hell away and call 911.
Right, don't ignore it.
Yep. Stay away from the vehicle. And, it even says it. If you notice any of these issues, stay away. Call emergency services. And allow them to pour 50,000 gallons worth of whatever onto the car so that it can suppress the fire and it can run into the wastewater. And anyway.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, dark vapor or smoke coming from the battery or near the rear of the vehicle is also cause for concern. I can say the same for me. If there is a dark vapor around Merawatt or smoke coming from the rear,
stay away.
Stay away and call emergency services. Moving on. Next article's over in Four Wheel Tech. IndyCar teams spend the cost of a small house just on wheels every year, but switching to aluminum or aluminium could save thousands. So they say wheels.
Are we actually talking tire? But then when they say aluminum, I think they are talking about the wheels.
There's tires and there are rims, and wheels are both.
Well, what are they spending on?
Okay, just wanted to get into this discussion. Wheels are tires and rims. Anyway, let's
So
say
are
you
we
run
going to have aluminum tires?
that's why I said switching to aluminum wheels. Anyway, let's say you run a 3-car Indy team with a 4th car scheduled to run at the Indy 500s, like say McLaren or Andretti. How much do you think you'd have to budget for a season's worth of wheels? They're killing me here. Season's worth of wheels. You mean rims or tires? Or is it both because you swap
Yeah, I
out the
don't know. They're
tires?
still going with wheels, so we don't know.
So if it's wheels, it's the rim and the rubber. Because you don't sit there on the side of the, you don't sit in pit row or pit lane and put tires on rims. You don't. You have enough supply there so you can just take a tire off or a wheel off.
Oh, okay.
And put it on. At least I don't think so. I've never seen that. But then again, I'm not hanging out in pit lane. So how much do you think that they have to budget for a season's worth of wheels? So that's the rim and the tire. It's going to need 12 sets of pricey aero-optimized lightweight magnesium wheels.
It's probably like over $1 million because they're probably like these high end and it's a lot of them. I don't know. I have no idea.
Look, I'm telling you, am I the only one? Somebody correct me either in comments, chat, somewhere. Okay? Rubber is the tire because you don't buy wheels from a tire store. You buy tires that go on rims, and that is your wheel. Okay. So the article is over at Jalopnik, and it says, why haven't these wheels been aluminum all along anyway? Bradley Brunell from Jalopnik put the article together. Switching to aluminum could save thousands. Let's say you run a 3-car. So the total ends up being $317,000 just for wheels.
Okay, I was a little bit off.
Hold on. Oops.
If you go to like a car parts place, it says wheels. But it's not talking about the tires.
Although you'll hear people use wheel and rim synonymously, they are not interchangeable. The rim is one of several components of a wheel. The tire is mounted on the outside edge of the wheel, and the rim serves as a sort of reinforcement to secure the tire to the wheel.
So that tracks, right?
So a wheel is the entire circular assembly that includes the rim, spokes, and hub, while a rim is just the outer edge of the wheel where the tire mounts. Okay.
So that's consistent, right?
Sure. I guess the wheel is the thing that attaches to the car.
But I guess the wheel doesn't include the tire, even though I think it does.
And the tire is something separate. But I think that the wheel is the wheel is the entire contraption, and the rim,
right, including the tire.
Yeah, but that's not what this is saying. TireAgent.com and other places.
You'll have to do an informal survey outside of ohmTown and see what you get.
I'm gonna lobby
Ask
my
like
senator.
3 random people and see what you get.
Let me speak to your manager. So magnesium is a great material for making racing wheels because it's lighter than aluminum, but the benefits end there. Magnesium is a lower thermal conductivity than aluminum, so it doesn't quite dissipate heat from the brakes as well, and it's also effectively impossible to repair and much more prone to cracking. So a minor scuff on the aluminum would brush off. Could be a race-ending incident. It's also a really expensive material to work with and adds up to a ridiculously expensive wheel budget for a season of IndyCar. Plus, magnesium can catch fire, and if a magnesium wheel catches fire, it's like impossible to turn off.
Oh,
So hold on. A fire caused by the ignition of magnesium metal, which burns at a temperature of around 3,100 degrees Celsius or 5,610 degrees Fahrenheit. It's basically thermite. Yeah. Except that thermite is iron rust.
that doesn't sound easy to
Put out.
put out. Thank you.
So the series is working with suppliers to reduce the cost by around 15% for the 2026-2027 season simply by switching to aluminum or aluminium. IndyCar, as you may know, is a spec series with every racing team working with almost identical race car packages. So long as everyone is forced to use the same wheel, the racing isn't going to be materially changed by a marginally heavier wheel. Wheel suppliers are working on new designs that will provide a stronger and similar weight aluminum wheel to the current mags while reducing production costs. So, yeah. Potential savings of $36,000 or the cost of a mid-sized sedan simply for the 17-round season replacement from magnesium.
Well, this sounds like a good move if they can make it work. That may mean they have to account for other differences.
What's weird, though, is it's only $36,000 out of a $370,000 budget. So,
Right. It doesn't seem like it's for financial reasons, but maybe it's for the other things like the scratch versus the replacement.
why are the damn wheels so expensive, even in aluminum? You know, I can cast it in the mayoral mansion for crying out loud.
I don't know. It must be I'm not sure. Oh, it's because there's such a small pool of people that are allowed to make them.
Yeah, probably. I'm sure it's not cast aluminum either. It's some, hardened billet aluminum that's made from, the tears of a unicorn. Anyway, so there you go. They're going to try, IndyCar is trying to change from magnesium wheels to aluminum wheels to save thousands of dollars. Let's keep going. So the next article and our last one for Four Wheel Tech today is in Technology Today. Pittsburgh-based autonomous truck company hits safety hang-up with feds. After years of preparation, Aurora Innovation's big launch of autonomous trucks in Texas is facing an unlikely stumbling block: safety triangles. Evan Robinson Johnson over at techexplore.com put the article together. And it says, when a traditional rig pulls up outside a highway, drivers are legally required to place a series of orange triangles or flares. What? Wait, what? When a traditional big rig pulls to the side of the highway. Oh, okay, yeah. Drivers are legally required to place a series of orange triangles or flares at the rear of the vehicle to alert oncoming traffic. Aurora's semis are designed to operate without a human in the cabin, meaning that there would be nobody to put out the warning signs when the trucks pull over.
Wait, I didn't even know that was a requirement because you do not see that very frequently.
Right. Well, they're violating the law. And is it just Texas? Yeah. Apparently it's just Texas.
I don't know. It may be everywhere, but yeah, this is based in Texas.
The Strip District-based company joined with Waymo, a subsidiary of a Google parent company, Alphabet, to petition federal regulators. Oh, regulatory capture. Yay! For an exemption in early 2023. Last week, federal motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, rejected the request. It's federal, so it's everybody. Raising questions about how Aurora will pull off a commercial launch that is scheduled for April. What it should do is just, as it drives over to exit, it just drops a little cone down and then stops.
I was thinking it could have like a little arm with cones attached or something that comes out. I don't know.
They could be metal rods that are slid into the side of the vehicle, and then when it needs to pull over, it extends it, and then when it needs to drive again, it just reels them back in. It could be
Yeah,
like
it'd have to be something attached in some way because the collection is going to be the next problem,
yeah, you
right?
can leave
Like they
them.
can't just drop them.
Sure, somebody else's problem. The governments at Aurora and Waymo, which has since narrowed its focus to robotaxis, failed to provide adequate data to show that their solution, a series of cab-mounted warning beacons, would provide the same level of safety as the traditional approach, and the companies can resubmit. Yeah, well, I mean, those little orange cones aren't going to stop somebody from smashing into an 18-wheeler.
No, but also if they have something inside the truck, is that really going to alert somebody depending on how it appears?
The whole ass end of it should just light up like a Christmas tree. If you can't, and it should literally be written on the back of the truck, if you can't see this, you're a dumbass.
Well, there you go. Maybe they need to change the law on that.
Regulators said that their highest priority is safety. The administration embraces technology advancements that further our policy goals, including reducing crashes, injuries, and fatalities on our nation's roads, says Director Cicely Waters. Said by email. To reverse the agency's decision, Aurora would need to provide additional data showing the effectiveness of their warning beacon approach. The company, it should just be a laser that shoots cars in half.
Well, I mean, that would solve the problem of avoiding collisions or maybe causing some new collisions.
There is a lot of data and, well, a lot of talk in this article. Zach Callahan, executive director of Truck Safety Coalition, wrote the lack of data requires that the Department of Transportation not unnecessarily risk the lives of the 200 plus million roadway users who never agreed to be part of this experiment.
Ouch.
Interesting. That's because they're worried that these autonomous vehicles are going to screw up
the jobs. Well, yeah.
Oh, it could be take jobs, but this is Truck Safety Coalition, not necessarily job centric.
Yeah, that's fair. But it's true. I mean, if it's like, well, let's just waive all these safety requirements, but then what about everybody else out on the road?
Yeah. So this could be in partnership with some other facet that is interested in protecting those jobs, right? Because we're going through that right now with a discussion regarding the fact that you can do this, but you can't do that. But to do this, it is identical to that over there, short of the fact that one is more transient. I have to be cagey about it because I'm in the middle of spinning up a product. And we're looking at the subtle nuance of law. And it literally says you can taste but not touch.
It's like you can do this, but you can't do this.
Yeah. You can go through the door, but you can't touch the doorknob. It's the wackiest thing. So instead of messing with it, we're just going to go a different route, probably, amounting to constraining what is possible until we're big enough to expand. It's very, very frustrating, but that's what this really could be, right? And the reason why I brought it up is because through discussion, we believe that it's kind of a coalition. There's a group of people that are interested in protecting their interests at the cost of a massive growth potential of individuals, usurping some of the customers from the ones that have regulatory capture. That's this, right? So truckers don't want autonomous trucking because it's going to take long haul trucking jobs. So why not partner up? I'm conspiratorially thinking here, but what does that little triangle actually do that flashing neon lights on the back can't do?
Exactly. I mean, maybe it's time to change what the safety measures are, provided that they're actually things that will work.
If anything, if they're bright enough in daylight and night, they're going to be seen for a further distance because they're on the vehicle, not on the ground, where the curve of the earth alone can obstruct the sight of that flare or make them as bright as a flare. The flare is going to burn out, and it's toxic. It's nasty crap sitting on the road. Anyway, that's all there is to this. As stakeholders widely agree that technology will make American roads safer, yet DOT took nearly 2 years to decline an opportunity to embrace technology at a critical juncture, Mr. Farah wrote. The AV industry, automated vehicle industry, will be looking at all available options to ensure this technology can be deployed to save lives.
I think if they were really trying to do this, they would have sought a change to the safety measures. And so then when they came through, it would have been easy, but they didn't do it that way.
Why
They
wait?
just assumed, well, we're different, so let's just try to ram it through.
Yeah. But why wait 2 years to try and solve a problem that they know is sitting there 4 months before they're supposed to kick off?
Well, that's the thing, right? They should have known about it well in advance. And I'm sure the government knew about it well in advance. But the problem is, unless they were at the stage of like submitting whatever the application or the review or whatever, like they might have been at the right stage on the government side. We don't know.
Strike that. I don't know why. I'm talking insane considering I just saw a forum that says it's going to take 14 weeks to process 10 lines of information.
With some check blocks, basically.
Dear God. All right. I'm all for bureaucracy because it limits the potential for fast moving abuse. But for crying out loud, 14 weeks. 14 weeks to address 10 lines. All right. Well, anyway, this article by Evan Robinson Johnson was over at techexplore.com, and that is the end of Four Wheel Tech. So we are going to put it in reverse and fast and furious, like race backwards down Main Street, ohmTown, until we land back at the front page.
Do we have any safety beacons out?
I was pooting out beacons every mile. Anyway, I am Mayor Watt. I run ohmtown.com, and along with the sentient AI, we are saying bye. And now the AI will too.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for Four Wheel Tech. Stay tuned. Next week we'll have another episode of this, but tomorrow we'll be back with our regular Non Sequitur news.
And it's an hour long, and it's Monday through Friday, and it covers the last 24 hours of news. But that Monday episode covers everything from Friday to Monday. But it's typically the last 24 hours because there's a massive flood of news on Mondays through Friday. Anyway, in those interstitial days. Okay, we're out of here. See ya. Bye-bye. Like a little triangle is going to really stop a dipshit.